This video is, you're an arena player. Everyone say hi to Druds. He's an arena player. He's really good at arena, by the way. You just gotta make sure that's very clear. Your job today is to let me know whether or not a card is playable in standard based on your perspective of an arena player.
Got it.
Can you let people know, just for any bias or any knowledge you have, how much standard you have played over the last like 5 years?
Man, so the last 5 years, it's a very small period. So back in the old days, I played, you know, like a Freeze Mage, and then I played a lot of Jade Druid, Miracle Rogue. So this is like Boomer, right?
That's I mean, we're not going that far back, so I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, and then recently, you know, I went through a period where I was playing a little bit of standard. You know, like each time a new expansion would come out, I would play, I don't know, still not a ton, like a few hours. And these days, I think I played 7 or 8 games in the new meta of standard. So
so
it's not a lot.
Here's what I told you this off. I told you off this recording. Here's what I did. I picked cards that I would hope that you would have no idea if they're good or not, because they have not been nerfed, or you may have never seen them in patch notes whatsoever. Like they've never been buffed or whatever.
Right.
Also with the newer cards, because you did say you played in the newest expansion, Into the Emerald Dream, a lot of stuff has changed over the past couple of days. So you may not be familiar with it, which is actually being played rather than what you played probably the first couple of days.
Right. All right, so Horizon's Edge, 4 mana, deal 3 damage, randomly split among all enemies. After a friendly minion dies, reopen this, and for some reason has 5 charges. All right, so for Arena, this thing is, we hate this card. We hate this card, especially once Zerg got introduced to the game, and then they're rushing out the 1/1s, and then it's just like infinite damage. It's super broken in Arena, probably too good. Standard, see, this one I already don't know. I feel like it's, I feel like I never see anyone complain about Horizon's Edge. So I'm gonna guess it's not very good, but I can't imagine why it's not very good, and maybe just no one cares about the board, but I'm gonna guess it's not very good.
Okay, final answer?
Yeah, that's my final answer.
This card currently in the game is in the best deck in the format.
What?
Currently.
Wait, what? No, why does no one complain about it? I feel like I'm the only one complaining about it. Arena people complain about it. I don't think I've ever seen anyone in the creator Discord say anything about Horizon's Edge.
In Arena, because it's a much, you could attest to this, it's a much more board centric for the most part. Like, of course, there's going to be swing turns, whatever. But for the most part, it's really board centric. The reason why Horizon's Edge is so good is because of the Seaside Giant from Perils in Paradise. Do you know what that card does, Dress?
Yeah, so I don't know the exact wording of it, but I have seen people start to complain about it. It's an 8/8, and it's cost 2 less for each time you've used a location in this game. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so not only that, Demon Hunters had Death Knights had other decks that have used Horizon's Edge, because objectively it's just a very good card, as you're probably aware of.
Yeah.
But right now, currently in standard, the best deck in the game, which is, I think, Warlock. It might not be the best deck. It's definitely like high tier in the metagame though. Because of how fast you could proc this, you can get Seaside Giants out like very, very quickly. And because how often you could use this location, you speed up the giants, and therefore it becomes really, really good.
I just want to say real quick, I'm when it comes to Perils in Paradise, I hate Perils in Paradise because it, like, none of the tourists were in Arena, so I just like, it's like we got an expansion with legendaries that aren't even in, you know, that aren't put into Arena, and then it's like your first pick is a legendary, so we basically missed out on a bunch of content. But yeah, that's a big like black hole for me. How good, like the impact of tourists. I'm just kind of not paying attention.
I want to say it. Like, I wouldn't say a ton of Perils in Paradise cards. I thought for sure you were gonna get this one, by the way. So this makes me feel very optimistic for the future of these cards. All right.
Yeah. I don't keep a close tabs on standard for sure. All right. So Amphibian Spirit, 2 mana, give a minion +2/2 and Death Rattle. Give a friendly minion +2/2 and this Death Rattle. And this is a nature spell. Hunter spell.
This is Hunter. Yep.
So man, you know, I never thought I'd see the day where BGs were coming to Hearthstone. Like, yeah,
it's shocking, right?
This is literally the leapfrog thing, right, from BGs?
Yeah.
Okay, how good is this? Okay, so in Arena, I almost never see this card. We'll keep with that cadence. Hunter is just really bad in Arena. The Imbue Hunter archetype does not translate to Arena. So some Imbue archetypes do, like Mage is broken in Arena right now. I'd say Priest is like okay, right? You can just get a bunch of value. The Hunter one, it's like you need specific cards to make it work. So you know, if you don't get King Plush or whatever, you're kind of out of luck. So I don't see this card much in Arena. It's okay probably in Arena. I wouldn't say anyone's like complaining about it. In Standard, I feel like this card isn't Imbue Hunter the only thing that's good right now? And why would you run this in Imbue Hunter? So I'm gonna say it's dog shit.
Okay, final answer.
Yes, final answer. Amphibian Spirit is dog shit.
This card is also very good at Standard.
What? 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 Why? Okay, why? Is it because not? Is it from another class? Is it like a tourist thing or what?
No. Okay, so couple things here.
Yeah.
First and foremost, a lot of people assume the exact same thing you said, right? When people see Amphibian Spirit, I think a lot of people's like idea was like, oh, it's not going to be that good because like, why would you ever want this in Hunter? There's just better stuff you could be doing. Hunter got. Let me get this card for you just so you can see, because I'm sure you're aware of it. I just need it for the actual video itself. Hold on. I can't believe you. Is this card like really bad in Arena? Like,
honestly, I don't. I think it's actually pretty decent in Arena, but it's an epic. And it's an epic, and Hunter's barely played because it's so bad. So like,
right.
Like, it's hard for me to know. I think it should be good because Hunter normally in Arena is like flood the board, right? Flood the board with a bunch of little shitters, and then you put this on something, and it's gonna be really hard to go to. So I think it should be like good in Arena. But in my brain, it's like if something's only good in Arena, then it's gonna be bad Standard. It's not always that way, but sometimes it works that way.
This is why this video worked out so well. So Terror Scale Stalker was added to the core set this year. And that's a 2-mana 2/3 battle cry trigger friendly minions death rattle, and the whole package for Hunter currently is this Zerg aggro with a bunch of eggs. So if you don't kill the eggs, the Amphibian Spirit has a great target, and then you could terror scale the Stalker, and all of a sudden you have a huge problem.
Okay,
because then it starts scaling out of control.
Yeah, no, it's literally like BGs.
Spirit,
it's like BGs, right?
Yeah,
it's like literally
exactly like BGs. Yeah. This deck right now for Hunter is extremely good.
See,
very good.
So far, no clue. Perfect.
Wow, okay. This is good. This is exactly what I was hoping for. Okay.
Okay, Defiled Spear, 4 mana, 2/3 weapon. After your hero attacks an enemy, deal your hero's attack damage to another random enemy. Okay, so in Arena, this card is like bonkers, like super bonkers. So just for perspective, are they called Demon Seeds? I always forget the name. The new
that sounds right.
The new Hunter version, but now Demon Hunter version of the dormant cards are just absolutely bonkers. So Dreadsoul Corruptor is probably like the best Demon Hunter card. And so a lot of those, or not a lot of those, one of the 3 of them summons one that lets you get 3 attack at the start of your turn.
Right.
So that with this is just bonkers. So this card is bonkers in Arena.
Okay.
So the question is, does that translate to Standard? When Rarran mauls about Demon Hunter, is it because of Defiled Spear, or is it because they have 50,000 armor? I think it's because they have 50,000 armor, but I'm gonna say okay. Now I'm in my own head because I'm like, okay, well, it's a good Arena card, but like I thought those ones would be bad in Standard, but is this actually good? I'm gonna go with Defiled Spear is good in Standard. It just seems crazy.
Okay, so are you? Are you basing this answer off the previous 2?
No,
you didn't get them right.
Are you just no? I mean, I will say from.
I'm so glad I did this.
Because I mean, it's really good. So I will say for Standard, it's like the board, it doesn't necessarily matter as much. I did play a little bit of Standard. I got hit for 44 in one turn by a View Hunter, and maybe you never want to play the game again. Just as a side note. So I literally had 44 health, and I got hit for perfect lethal. Of course, I had a board full of taunts, but it doesn't matter because it's Standard. So I'm gonna stick with saying this card is gonna be very good. But now I feel like it's bad because you're saying are you based on this other one?
It is currently unplayable.
Unplayable?
What
about you hit a taunt and then do a bunch of face damage? You don't care?
Literally. So this is maybe a symptom of like what is the best Demon Hunter deck right now, which you're right, it was the armor one.
Yeah.
In this current patch before the next patch comes out, this has the chance at some point to be very good. Obviously, it's a very good effect.
Yeah.
I actually specifically picked this card because I remember watching your stream and seeing how much work it was doing in Arena.
Yeah.
And I was like, I could see the vision, and you're right, with the Demon Seed that gives you +3 attack when it like goes undormant or it comes. What do we call it? Wake, I guess. Very, very powerful thing, but in Standard, it is not good enough yet.
Yeah, I should have figured it out honestly, because I did follow a little bit of the Demon Hunter stuff, and I noticed that like the Demon Seeds weren't really a thing in Standard, which is crazy because in Arena they were just like really nuts. They dropped the offering rate of them a bit, so they aren't as common. But like I've had decks with 6 or 7 of these type of cards, and if you have just you just have a couple of them, then this thing becomes really insane. And there's also
I don't doubt it at all.
Yeah, there's also the I forget the name of it. It's a totem. The 2 mana 0/3.
Spirit of the I forget what it is. Yeah. When you get the free 2 attack name.
Yeah. So sometimes you just like stick that on 2, and then they can't kill it, and then you equip this on 4 and it's doing a ton of work. So, you know, this just shows you, Rarran, how much the game has like changed. Because I remember like it's always been a little different, you know, what's good in standard, what's good in arena, but now when I watch people play standard, the game just looks so foreign to me. Okay, Supernova, 8 mana fire spell. Fill your hand with random fire spells. They cost 1. So this card is quite good in arena. I will say it's much better if you get it off of Blastoid. So Blastoid is
like discounted by 2.
Yeah, 3 mana, 3/4. It shuffles. Is it 4 or 5 fire spells in your deck discounted by 2? So you play it for 6 mana, and all of a sudden, you know, it's like really nuts because you can play more on the same turn. I would, man, I can't. If this card is good in standard, I just can't imagine it. I've seen Ellie Mage, and then there's Imbue Mage. I can't imagine an 8 mana Supernova is doing work in standard.
Okay, final answer?
Yeah, it's my final answer.
Okay, you actually got one right. Let's go.
What are we, 1 for 4?
Yeah, so
let's go.
This card is, I think maybe it's not even the mana cost. I think the variants of the spells you get in standard are just not worth it. If they were all really top notch, I think there's a huge reason why you would play this. Like if I only got fireballs, obviously this is like insane. Yeah, but it's too varied. There's too many bad fire spells in the game that Mage doesn't want this. And currently, I don't think I've ever, maybe when the expansion first came out, but I was playing the Bazaar, so I have no fucking idea if it was played.
Yeah. Puzzle Master Khadgar, 6 mana, 5/5. Battlecry, equip a 0/6 Wisdom Ball that casts helpful mage spells. All right, so Arena, this card is, this can't be a surprise, but this card is pretty busted in Arena. Like when it first came out, it was
really
like, it was by far the best card for Mage. Currently, I don't know if it's like still the best, but it's still a very good card. Like there's not many legendaries you would take over Khadgar in Arena. Also, it's just great for content, right? Like mirror images. Mirror images. Yeah. So the Magic Wisdom Ball is 3 mana, 0/6. At the end of your turn, cast a helpful mage spell. Lose 1 durability. So yeah, great in Arena. I believe. So I would have some trouble figuring out whether this would be good or bad. Good or bad in standard. I believe that it is good in standard. I think I remember like kind of talking about or complaining. Sometimes I'll complain about cards occasionally. Once in a while. And I remember complaining about it and saying, you know, some brand about, oh, why do they print this? You know, it's not even good in standard. I think my Twitch shout, I'll give Twitch shout the shout out for this one, said that it's actually very good and it's run in most decks, at least at some period. So basically, if this is bad, we're blaming Twitch chat. If this is good in standard, then we are giving Twitch chat a high five. Got it?
Okay. All right. Final answer. You think this is good?
Yeah.
All right. I guess Twitch chat didn't skew you wrong this time because it is a pretty playable card in Mage. Okay. On average, it just is a really good card in a vacuum. So same thing with Arena. Like you don't have to build for it. You just play it on 6 and you're pretty happy. It gives you a ton of value, ton of pressure potentially. Sometimes it's the worst card ever, right? It really depends on the RNG that day. Yeah. Like it is played even currently like in a variety of different decks. And looking at the actual played win rate, it looks like it's pretty good. Yeah. So overall.
It's just one of those cards where like, you know, even when you're complaining about a few of the hits, you remember like it just flame struck their whole board or fireballed them and then frostballed them. Yeah. It's like all that for 6 mana, right? And a 5/5. It's just kind of crazy for what it does. Yeah. Dream Planner Zephyrus, 3 mana, 3/2 elemental. Battlecry, choose a travel tour to get 2 potentially perfect cards from it. Okay, so first off, for Arena, I would say this card is like good, but not insane. Like my experience with it is if you're playing this card, you want to, if you're not taking the damage to the face, you're just like, you're going to be sad. Okay. Yeah, in Arena, it's like you're going to get, you know, removal from a decade ago and you're not going to be too happy about it. It is pretty good for going face though, like for smorking, like, you know, it isn't bad for that. In standard, I gotta believe there's better stuff to play than Dream Planner Zephyrus. Like I remember the original Zephyrus was great in standard. This one, I gotta believe it's just not quite good enough. That's my final answer.
Okay. So this one's a little bit more convoluted than just like, yes, it's bad. No, it's not. When this card first came out, people tried it out. Obviously, it's a really exciting card. Everyone loves Zephyrus. Shortly after, this card kind of fell out of favor. Currently, this card is not very played. And I think it's for the exact reason you said. Like the cards you're getting aren't great. And the one that often what it comes down to is like, do you really need the extra burn? Because that's what you're probably picking him for. It's like 3 mana, 3/2, get 2 random burn spells and hopefully kill your opponent. Yep. Like it's very rare you're picking the other ones.
And then sometimes, Rarran, you hit like, you know, Bloodlust or something and you don't have the board. And or what's the Druid one that does 2 damage for all your
Savage Roar?
Savage Roar. Yeah, you get that and you don't have the board and you're like, well, that doesn't help me. As an aside, I really like this type of design of like, okay, random from a specific pool. Like I think that's a good thing to have in the game.
I actually 100% agree with you. Yeah. I really, I like when there's variance, but not so much variance that if you get like Giga High Rolled, like you're upset.
Yeah, I mean, that's what, for me, I've always loved the excavate mechanic. Like the excavate mechanic, I always liked that one. Although I will say like the balance between the different, between classes for the legendary reward and also just within each tier was a little off, but I still like the idea of thinking like, okay,
Wait, which one do you think was the best one?
Huh? Which one?
What excavate did you think was the best one?
The best one. So I would say the one that really stands out as being like a an outlier is the epic discovered elemental, and add 2 copies of it to your hand.
Really in arena?
Yeah, because I mean you get like an 8-drop on the board for 3 mana, right? And then you probably get like a, you get like a Zephrys or whatever in hand. So
see, what's so funny is I think a lot of people would disagree with you on that one. I think maybe the best one was probably the 3 damage to all. I was actually talking about like the class one. Which one did you think was the best one?
The class one, the best. It's probably the mage.
See, I think mage was, no, I wouldn't call mage bad, but I think Death Knights was probably the best. Warlocks was so good they had to nerf it.
Yeah, Warlocks was never
people
that.
hated it.
Yeah, Warlocks was never that. I know it did get nerfed in standard, but it was never really that annoying. I'd say Death Knight's very good. Like Death Knight and Mage. Rogue is good too, but it's like oftentimes
Rogue's probably the best one.
You just have like a full hand, and it's like, how do I get?
Rogues is like the default, like if Rogue had no deck, that's what you're playing. Like, because at least you could scam you a victory.
Yeah,
you, go endless, but yeah. Okay, what about this card?
Oh god, Travel Security. 6 mana, 2/2 undead, taunt, death rattle, summon a random 8-cost minion. All right, so first off in arena, I absolutely hate this card. Like this is just, it's not just because it's perils. It's just like this card has been in the meta for so long in arena, and the pool of 8-drops has just been pretty good for most of the time. And then Death Knights have had synergy in arena, Death Growl or Yodeler to trigger it, and it's just been like, it's just such a frustrating card to play against arena, because like, okay, if you kill it, then you're probably not gonna be able to deal with what comes out. If you don't kill it, then they're probably gonna spread it, and you definitely lose. So it's just a very frustrating card to play against arena. In standard, you know, I haven't heard anyone complain about Death Rattle Death Knight.
Okay.
So I'm gonna say it's not very good in standard.
I like how you're basing this off whether or not you've heard someone complain.
Who's complaining? I mean, isn't that what we do in Hearthstone? How many people have complained about a card? And yeah, I don't know. I think because I feel like right now, Death Knight's what? It's like the suck DK. I played like a little bit of that. Yeah. And this definitely isn't in that. It has like the version I was playing also had like Starship stuff in it. Yeah, I think generally Death Knight wants to use like the cheaper Death Rattles to combo with the 1/4 that gives Reborn. It's like a little bit easier like with the Starship pieces. So I'm gonna guess, like, although it's really annoying and frustrating to play against arena, it's not that great in standard.
All right, you are correct. You are correct. It's not very good. I think that again the biggest problem here is like almost with Supernova, the pool of 8-drops you're getting is probably not worth it.
Yeah. Well, Grunty's in there like, now, right? Or
Grunty. I don't know why they made that card. Yeah. This card, I think, I was trying to think of like what was the problem with it. I think you're right. Like, I think most of the time Death Knight either wants to play different Death Rattles for the same mana cost or around the same, or they just want to use like cheaper ones. Yeah. So this card never really saw it. I'm trying to really think if I ever saw it in standard again. I don't think so. I think for the most part, it's like unplayable.
Okay, so next card we have Toreth the Unbreaking, 5 mana, 3/4, Divine Shield, taunt. Your Divine Shields take 3 hits to break. So this card, man, Paladin's not great in arena, so I don't see it a ton, but it's like good in arena. It's very annoying. Okay. I have had people pop off with the drink spell, right? Like the Paladin drink spell.
Oh yeah, God.
And then you're just like, oh man, and it, is this gonna be good in standard? Is there gonna be enough synergy for it to be good in standard? And this is a tough one, because I feel like there's a decent amount of Divine Shields that people at least at some point did play, but do they currently play them? Like the Tigress plushie and all and stuff like that. And it's hard. It really is hard, because this one I really don't know. Like this one I'm like, it seems like it's not good enough for standard, but this is one where I could be wrong, because I really don't know what Paladin does. So I'm gonna go with it's not good, but I'm really not sure. I just don't know what the good Paladin decks are, if there is a good Paladin deck.
Okay, let's just say, without thinking about the deck itself, in a vacuum, because I think what Toreth really, I'm not gonna say he doesn't have synergy with other Divine Shields, but I think the way you look at it is like, does a 5 mana 3/4 that's really annoying to get through get played?
Yeah, and it doesn't, to me it just doesn't seem good enough. It seems like it's annoying in arena, and I have lost to it with synergy, but in standard, it doesn't seem like it's good enough. It's
incredibly interesting you say that. Let me explain. When I saw this card for the first time, I said this card was pretty mid. I was like, people were like, oh my God, this is gonna be the most annoying thing in the world. Oh my God, oh my God. So the Tavern Brawl comes out, and this card actually was pretty good in the Tavern Brawl because a lot of the cards were missing. So I was like, oh shit, like it might be really, really good. So when I did the tier list for this expansion, I bumped it up like an idiot because this card currently doesn't see a lot of play, and I was right. I should have gone with my intuition. But,
no one's gonna care, Rarran. They're gonna just look at your tier list and be like, "Yep, look."
You know what's crazy, dude? Is I said to people in my chat, I was like, if this card ends up being bad, you're gonna come back and tell me that it's not played, right? And of course, no one comes back and says anything. So that's where I'm at right now. Yeah, this card unfortunately suffers from either probably take two things. One, they nerfed the weapon that is the hand buff weapon, the Painter's Virtue.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have lifesteal anymore. So I think if you gave it more attack and health, obviously it becomes a lot better. The wall is just so annoying to deal with.
Yeah.
The other problem is I just don't think Paladin really needs this right now. I wouldn't call this a bad card, to be fair.
No, I wouldn't either.
I think it can be played. I think it can be played, right? It's just more like Paladin doesn't need this right now.
Bouldering Buddy. All right, 7 mana, 6/7 elemental. Rush Taunt costs 1 if you have at least 10 mana crystals. So this card's like, it's like okay in Arena. The problem we have with is Druid's not really a class in Arena currently. Like it's just absolutely dog shit. So
it sounds great. Sounds fantastic.
Yeah, so like you just don't really see the class. I think that's just kind of how the imbue thing works, right? Like imbue is going to be good for certain classes and it's going to be very hard to work for other classes. But this card specifically, it's like okay in Arena. Obviously, if you play it for 1 mana at 10 mana crystals, it's great. But oftentimes you just have to play it to like survive. Between 7 and 9, and that's not so good. So Druid is all about that ramping. So I feel like this card would be pretty decent in keeping Druids alive because you get to, high mana quickly. I'm going to go with Bouldering Buddy has had a pretty good time in Standard, but again, I could obviously be wrong.
So you're right about one thing. Druid really likes Story Amp. This card sucks ass.
It's a 1 mana 6/7 with Rush and Taunt.
Yeah,
not good enough. I guess Druids are just playing Dungar. That was what they used to do, right? They play Dungar and pull out all their expensive things. That's what they want to ramp into, not a Bouldering Buddy.
I don't know. I legitimately think like they need this card would have to be so much better for it to be played. It just doesn't do it. Like even it's so funny because to say a 1 mana with Rush and Taunt doesn't do enough. But the reality is, if I'm getting to that mana, I don't want to draw this card. I want to do better stuff.
You want to play one of your like actual bombs or something, right?
And Dungar, it's unfortunate because Dungar like takes up the slot for perils.
Right.
Or like because like you have to play another minion. So yeah, it does not see play. I've never seen it get played.
Annoyo Troop. Is it Troop? Is that how you say that?
I
Troop?
think so.
Not Troop,
so,
like Toupee? Okay. 9 mana, 3/6 mech. Taunt Divine Shield. Death Rattle summon 3 1/2 mechs with Taunt and Divine Shield. Okay, I gotta be careful with this one. In Arena, it's like a fine card. It's not like a premium card. 9 mana, and it doesn't really like push much damage. It's annoying, but it's just like, it's not great in Arena. So I'd have to think of it in Standard if there's like a way to cheat it out for less or whatever. And I can't imagine that people are, like, this is a problem card. So I maybe there's a way to cheat it out. Like, I don't know. I can't see it. I'm going to go with this card is not good.
Okay. So with this card in particular, it's actually really interesting. I think if you're raw dogging this card, like you said, for 9 mana, unplayable. There's no way.
Yeah.
It's too bad. The thing is, there actually was a card that cheat this out.
The 4/2. I'm actually vaguely remembering now. Is there like a...
Not even the 4/2. This is good.
Oh, Pipsy.
So Pipsy was like the enabler for a card like this, because if you needed a Divine Shield minion or you needed the Taunt minion, this is like a really good fit. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you this card's broken. Like, don't get me wrong. I think even at some point, like, people tried different stuff other than Annoying Troop, but that's the only way this card was playable.
Yeah. So Pipsy was good for a while, right? Pipsy Paladin was kind of a thing for a while.
Yes. Yeah, it was good. It was good. I think for the most part, though, like, maybe, I forget what happened. Maybe it got nerfed or something. Something got nerfed about it.
I think Pipsy did get nerfed, I want to say.
I don't think she got nerfed. I think something else got nerfed from it. I honestly can't remember for the life of me.
Yeah.
But yeah, this card was like played, but I wouldn't call it like good. I think your analysis is fine. I'm just gonna take.
Backstage Bouncer. 4 mana, 4/5 beast. Taunt, Battlecry, transform a friendly minion into a copy of this. So this card's great in Arena. It's better in Shaman than Warrior, just because you have an easy way to activate it with Totem. So in Standard, like, I gotta believe it's not bad. Like, you know, the idea would be you have to buff it, right? And there's gotta be, at some period in time, there must have been enough hand buff to make Backstage Bouncer a good card. So I feel like
hand buff.
Hand buff?
For what? Like Warrior?
But yeah, wasn't there like the 2/2 that buffs your hand and deck?
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, the Tom package from okay, sure.
This might have been from a while ago. I can't remember. But in Arena, sometimes
you're right. You're right. That was the Tom package. Yeah.
I mean, can't be that bad, right? I mean, if you have to raw dog it as a Yeti in 2025, sure, you're sad, but I gotta believe this card is like decent, at least in Standard. No, final answer is it's decent. It's playable.
Playable. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that this card was very good.
Okay.
The thing is Shaman had a lot of, like, this was, I think you're the same thing with Arena. Like, this card is better in Shaman than it is in Warrior.
Yeah.
Not to say Warrior didn't play it, but it was very, very good in Shaman. And the main reason is for Shaman is that Shaman had a lot easier ways of like generating a token or something that you could transform.
Yep.
Or Warrior kind of struggled a little bit with that. You, like, the taunt package from Showdown in the Badlands, you could probably tell from my answer when you said it was like, wasn't even played.
It's just terrible.
It was so bad. So this card was good just because if you got 2 Yetis for the price of 1, that was phenomenal. Like, it was so good to get that. And then Shaman loved it too, because Shaman got the card from was it Whizbang, where it's like you summon the 2 frogs. Like, people, they love that. Like you just kill something and then you
yeah, the deal 2 summon.
Yeah, and then you shuffle a frog. So like that was obviously like insane. Yep. This card was actually like really good. It was kind of like a staple, I want to say. Like, very good card, very playable.
All right, Timber Tambourine, 4 mana, 2/3 weapon. Death Rattle, summon 1 5/5 ancient. Play cards that cost 5 or more while equipped to improve. All right, so in Arena, this card is very good. If Druid, honestly, I would go as far as to say is like when Druid is playable, this card is like is good, because it's just, you get a lot of stats. It combos very well with the plus what was it, the plus 2/4 buff, drum circle.
Yeah. Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, so it was in Arena very good. I have to believe in Standard it also is pretty good. See, my only issue is like, are you playing a lot of 5+ cards? Oftentimes Druid's spamming like a bunch of cheap cards. I feel like this card has to do enough to be good in Standard. So I'm gonna go with this card's good in Standard.
This card was awful.
Awful? Come on, no, you can't even give me like, it's like there's a deck out, there's one deck that works kind of okay. No,
I actually, who did I show this to? I showed it to, was it the Magic I do videos with C2B?
Yeah.
And the sad reality of this card, Dreads, is the fact that you have ramp.
Yeah.
So would I rather play a Timber Tambourine
on 4, or would you ramp? Yeah.
With another ramp. So the unfortunate reality is, not to say that like I can see why like this would be insane in Arena. Not even thinking about like the buff, but the fact is like it's a huge board that you can develop pretty easily. I think in Standard, do a bunch of meatballs really do that much? No. Could Druid do something infinitely better? Yeah,
it's kind of like it's like the Bouldering Buddy thing again, right? In a way where it's like,
yes,
you know,
yeah, that's good.
Like, this is a good card. The idea is like good, but in reality, you just want to get to Dungar, get to whatever expensive card you want to play, right? Drone Deconstructor, 1 mana, 1/2 mech. Battlecry, get a 1/1 magnetic spark bot with a random bonus effect. All right, so this one is good in Arena, like quite good. It's not like the level where people are really complaining about it. Like, it's not like that kind of good. It's just like, okay, that's a good 1-drop, right? And you can like put you can buff it or whatever. I know you're laughing because that's my like go-to, like how much are people
like,
mauling
do I
about
complain about this card? Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, but it was like it's a solid card in Arena. You draft it quite often. Obviously, it gets a lot better if you can use that spark bot to give Reborn to a more impactful minion, or Divine Shield to a rush minion, or whatever. I want to say this card was, I remember there was a period where I think this card was pretty good in Rogue and maybe also Paladin. So I think I remember, I don't know if it was like a full mech variant or if it was just, fit well with the package, but I think this card's pretty good in Standard for a neutral.
Okay, final answer?
Yeah, that's my final answer.
Pretty good is not understatement. Very good card.
Okay.
Very good card. It was actually played in a variety of different decks. Aggro, it was played in hand buff Paladin as well because of just the random mech you got with a keyboard getting buffed. And it was magnetic, so that was massive. Like, I'm actually shocked how good this card ended up being in Standard. Yeah. But it was, I wouldn't call it a staple for a variety of different decks, but the fact is it was played in Aggro Rogue, Hamba Paladin. There's probably a couple more I'm forgetting here. It was just a very, very good one drop. I was hoping that you would see this card and be like, there's no way this is good enough.
No, it's funny. Again, it's like I wasn't paying a lot of attention to standard at the time that this was good, but it's just like I vaguely remember like seeing some deck lists and was like, oh, that drone deconstructor is always in there. And like again in arena, it's like it's fine, like it's a good card, but generally it's just you play a 1/2 on 1 and then you just slam the the 1/1 on 2 to like free kill a one drop the opponent played or whatever.
Yeah,
it's not like
fair.
I do remember it being like a pretty good one drop.
Okay. Here's your final card. We'll see how you do on this.
All right, the final countdown. Okay, Trog Gym Tosser, 3 mana, 3/2. Finale, deal 1 damage to a random enemy for each of your mana crystals. All right, so in arena, this card is insane. Like really, really, really good. It just does a ton of damage, and it pretty much even like turn 5, turn 6 on, like you're pretty happy to just have a chance to ping off a couple minions and or just do a ton of damage to the face. Here's where I'm like inside my own head where it's like, okay, well, Druid can ramp and then but like are they ramping into play a Trog Gym Tosser? But it's only 3 mana, or would Warlock want this kind of damage? I feel like this card, it has to be good enough for standard. Like even though I've been wrong about this like ramping idea in the past, it does so much damage for so little mana. I feel like it's gotta be good. That's my final answer.
Okay, interesting. I actually really thought you were gonna say it wasn't good enough, but it actually ended up being fantastic. Like really good. I can't remember Warlock, but fucking Druid, man, because of how much mana they can get.
Yeah.
Especially with like what's that card called? I always forget what it's called. The 3 mana that lets you go above 10 mana.
New Heights.
Yeah, New Heights. Yeah, like because of that effect, you're just getting pinged for fucking 13 damage, and it's so miserable, dude.
I'm detecting some trauma there from those times.
I have lost games to this card. Like realistically, it's this. I mean, I don't know why they gave it like the ability to do 13 damage from hand.
Well,
sometimes 16.
I think there's something extra tilting about like the repeated ping animation too as you die. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, you're probably
same
right.
thing with
yeah,
Astalor, right? Where it's like it's like this is I hate it.
Well, Astalor, like I didn't mind it as much because unless it was like brand, because you could plan for it. You obviously have a lot of information that's coming.
Have it, and,
this guy was like, oh, they're at 13 mana,
and you're just gone. Yeah.
So yeah, very, very good card. Okay, I mean, listen, I wasn't 100% sure on how this video would go, but I'm glad it actually ended up working out.
I was probably 50% maybe. On them,
probably around 50-50.
There's a good amount where it's like, I mean, just again, I talked about it earlier. It's arena and standard are quite different beasts these days. So it's what's good in one mode can be very different in another mode. And I'm just someone who like I'll catch a little bit of standard at the start. Like I'll watch a little bit of Cantaloupe or catch you suffering a little bit against Demon Hunters for a bit, but I don't watch regularly or play regularly anymore. So I am pretty out of the loop with stuff.
And double checking, you are in full cam.
Yeah,